This is Beyond the Headlines, and our midterm scorecard series continues. Across Nigeria, we're taking stock of promises made and progress delivered as elected leaders mark 2 years in office. From state capitals to federal ministries, we're holding power to account, sector by sector, issue by issue. On the show today, we'll begin in Plateau State with Governor Mutfwang as we unpack his administration's response to the security crisis, rising infrastructure, and the future of governance in the Middle Belt. What's working, what's not, and what lies ahead? Join me as we go beyond the headlines to the heart of performance, policy, and politics. On the show today, we journey to the heart of Nigeria's Middle Belt, where the winds of change have met the storm of crisis. It's been nearly 2 years since Governor Mutfwang took office, inheriting not just a mandate, but a mountain of long-standing security threats, economic concerns, and a deeply divided polity. Yet in the midst of grief and uncertainty, his administration has rolled out ambitious reforms, from revitalizing transportation and civil service systems to breathing new life into Plateau's economy. But beneath the commendations are still urgent questions about safety, about political loyalty, about governance, and about what the future holds for a state that remains in many ways a mirror of Nigeria's greatest tests. So tonight, we ask the hard questions. What has worked? What hasn't? Who is really behind the bloodshed that refuses to cease? And with speculation swirling, is the governor preparing to jump political ships ahead of 2027? Joining me now is the Executive Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Mutfwang. Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you, Difemi. Good evening, viewers.
Glad to have you join us again. In just a few days, you'll mark your second year in office. How time flies. I still remember our very first conversation right here on this show after your victory in 2023. Let me start by thanking you for keeping your words, because you mentioned that we could call you at any time. We've had a couple of conversations since then. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, Difemi.
All right.
It's been an interesting journey. It's been a journey full of mixed feelings. It's been a journey of successes and setbacks. But through it all, we give God the glory. I think what we have done, one of the successes we have recorded in the last 2 years, which may appear intangible, but it's a great success, is that we have restored the hopes of people in governance, in government, and people now know that government is there for them. It's their government, and they expect that when we promise, we deliver. And what we've tried to do in the last 2 years is to walk the talk. Yes, we are not where we wanted to be, but certainly the journey has started.
It's been anything but a smooth ride. Plateau State has faced some of its darkest security challenges in the past few years. Looking back now, were you fully prepared for the scale of what you met? And how have these realities, in a way, reshaped your priorities and your leadership approach?
Yeah, well, was I prepared for what I met? I think I leave that question for posterity to judge. But certainly there is no way you could have known everything that you would confront in your journey in governance. There are things, it is only when you sit on the seat I'm sitting on that they open up to you. But I think my life preparation has actually prepared me to be able to confront the situations that I've met, to take tough decisions, to be able to accommodate people, to be able to lift up people out of their troubles, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say I've been perfect, but I thank God that at least we have not crashed under the weight of expectations. We We wish we could have done more, but certainly, like I said earlier, we have given people a new lease of life, and they know that when we talk, we walk the talk.
Let us begin with the issue of insecurity. We've seen some proactive steps by your government, like the ban on night grazing, restrictions on cattle movement, suspension of mining, reactivation of...
Sorry, Difemi, the volume is diminishing at your end.
Oh, can you hear me now, Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Can you, okay. I was saying that I want us to begin with the issue of insecurity, because we've seen your government take certain steps, you know, banning night grazing, coming up with a lot of unique ideas to fight the insurgency. But it seems that we are seeing some form of contradiction, irrespective of all of the effort you have made. How is your government adjusting to strategy in real time? Specifically, what have you identified to be the challenge? Because you have mentioned that you were ready to name some of the people, you know, behind this challenge. What is really going on when it comes to insecurity in Plateau State?
Thank you, Difemi. I think the challenge of insecurity on the plateau, like you know, is not something that just began yesterday. It is something that we've had to deal with over the last close to 30 years or thereabout. Again, I would say the main problem with this challenge on the plateau is the mischaracterization of the nature of the conflict. For too long a time, we had played political correctness with living in denial that these things had a connotation of genocide, a connotation of terrorism, and so on and so forth. What we have decided to do is to call a spade a spade. I keep challenging those who parade the narrative of farmers' herders clash, that you don't have a clash where there are two contending parties are not equal. One is more armed than the other. And in several cases, one is armed, the other is not armed at all. You don't call that a clash. Now, there has been a lot of dynamism in the factors behind the insecurity. A lot of issues have come in. Now, even though I would have gladly tried to play down on the issues of religion and ethnicity, sometimes these things get thrown to the forefront, because if the attackers are from one religion, the victims are from another religion, you can't persuade the victim otherwise that this had a religious connotation. But having said that, we've been trying to deal this hydra-headed situation as much as we can. And basically, as you know, you are breaking into two compartments, kinetic and non-kinetic. For the kinetic, we have to rely on the federal security agencies. And sometimes they are not at their best. Sometimes they are demotivated. Sometimes they are handicapped. To be honest with you, I think by and large, the Nigerian security forces are doing a lot, you know, with little. And sometimes we can't blame them because of structural handicaps that they confront. But beyond that, we have engaged in a lot of dialogue, intra and inter-community dialogue, to see how we deal with the non-kinetic dimension, to deal with those tendencies towards religion and ethnicity, like I mentioned earlier. And I think so far, we've been able to avert a lot of killings. While the killings are painful, regrettable, I want you to know that if we had not done what we have done over the last 2 years, the situation would have been much worse. And what we would have been dealing with, perhaps, is a situation of the conflict in the Middle East, which we pray that, God forbid, it will not happen. But by and large, I would think that we're returning to stability. Yes, there are skirmishes here and there. There are sporadic killings here and there. but on a large scale, like had happened in the last 2 months, I think to God be the glory, we've been able to tame that situation.
So if it is not farmers herders clash, what is it? I was hoping you could, hit the nail on the head. I recall having the Benue State governor here a few weeks ago who mentioned that this wasn't a Fulani herdsman issue, that it was some foreign herders who are taking advantage of our porous borders, and it was heavily criticized for that. Who are the people attacking your people? Have you been able to identify them?
Thank you, Nifemi. You know, as a governor sitting on this seat, a lot of the times you don't want to jeopardize some of the efforts that are ongoing. But I've said this clearly, that what the pattern we have seen in the last couple of years is suggestive of genocide, is suggestive of terrorism, and what we have kept doing is to turn over the information to the security agencies, the Directorate of State Services, the police, the civil defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I believe they are better suited to answer this question as to who are the killers. But more importantly, Nifemi, we must go beyond who are the killers to also identify who are the sponsors of these killers. The amount of arms in the hands of people now is quite alarming. And I do not think that the security agencies are unaware. During the Buhari regime, we heard that some people with Bureau de Change were suspected to be channeling funds to these terrorists. But up till now, we've not heard anything about it. Now, so part of the reason why this situation has remained as tenuous as it is and continue to escalate in certain places is because we've not been able to bring people to book. Unfortunately for me as a governor, it is not within my domain, my jurisdiction to be able to handle some of these issues. It is rather the responsibility of the federal security agencies to deal with these issues. And I would rather remain within the sphere of my responsibility to be able to facilitate their work and make sure they do their best according to the best of their ability.
We're going to talk about how much help you think you're getting from the federal government. But you know, for many residents in Plateau, you are the chief security officer, and they look to you for help when crises like this happen. Recently, you called for community self-defense. There are those who fear this could open the door to vigilantism. I'm wondering how you draw the line between protecting lives and preserving lawful order as a strategy to resolve this matter.
Yeah, as you know, Nifemi, I've been an unapologetic supporter of state police. I believe in Nigeria we already have state police. The Amotekun in the southwest is an example. We have the Operation Rainbow here. Now, it is better for us as a country to make these things lawful, legitimate, so that we can be able to control, to manage, to regulate, rather than allow non-state actors to take the stage, and they are doing things we do not understand. But having said that, yes, there are fears that have been expressed in various quarters as to the unregulated raid of vigilante groups. But you cannot tell any man to protect his household. It's a given. Every man has a responsibility to protect his household. And if you find a community, then definitely it is the responsibility of members of that community to ensure that there are no intrusions in their midst, and that when there are security breaches in their midst, they know how to deal with it. I'm not advocating lawless carrying of guns by people, but if we can find a mechanism, and I'm glad the DG of SSS had said we can always fall back on their advice, and that's what we're doing. We are not doing anything outside the ambit of law. Even the vigilante, we make sure that they are profiled by the security agencies. And most of the time, what they resort to doing is nothing but gathering intelligence, which they must turn over to the security agencies. And so we continue to mobilize community engagement, community vigilance, to ensure that those who want to pounce on them with an element of surprise do not have their way. So yes, community policing is an absolute necessity and is a right that you cannot deny anybody that he can be able to defend his household.
Let me just quickly follow up on something you talked about earlier, because you have repeatedly promised to reveal the identities of those behind these killings. And when you spoke earlier, you talked about that now being the responsibility of federal security agencies. But there's a sense to which your people also feel like you know who these people are. Why are you not calling them out? What should Plateau citizens, for instance, expect in this long-awaited disclosure? You recently inaugurated 11-member fact-finding committee. Is there anything you know that you can share as to some update in this regard?
Yeah, thank you. To overflow this issue, like you mentioned, we've set up a fact-finding committee. I like, as much as possible, not to preempt that committee. So we would like those who have been eyewitnesses and victims of a lot of these acts of insurgency, they will come forward and tell the committee what we saw, the people we believe attacked us, what our grievances are, and then we'll be able to have an official platform to channel this. You know, if I say anything now, is my word against theirs, which is not beneficial. But let me assure the people of Plateau State that there is no one that we suspect that has a hand in the crisis that will allow to go scot-free. We'll continue to trouble those with responsibility to ensure they do the needful until such people are brought to book. This is our commitment to the people of Plateau State. So it's not just about coming on TV and making allegations. You know, sometimes we even jeopardize the investigation. So I'd rather keep it at this level, but let the people be assured that we have their back, that we will go to every length to ensure that justice is meted out to the victims of these madness that we have witnessed over this couple of years.
You have acknowledged in the past that you've acknowledged President Tinubu's support in addressing the security challenge. How would you assess the federal government's overall response to what the state needs right now?
Yeah, well, I'm not privy to what is happening in every state of the Federation, but I want to confirm and to put on record that each time there has been any breach of security on the plateau, Mr. President has shown concern, and I want to thank him most immensely. Not only has he shown concern, but he puts the heads of security agencies on their toes, and then you know they rise to the occasion. A lot of the times, I would not be able to create that momentum without the support of the president, and I want to place on record that he's been very gracious in that regard. Of course, we are also working at seeing how we can get assistance of every kind, pecuniary and otherwise, to be able to address the situations we confront in terms of access to those communities, in terms of communication, you know, because many of these are rural communities that come under attack, rural border communities that are quite vulnerable. But I can assure you that without the support of Mr. President, we would not have been able to gain such traction, and we remain immensely grateful.
You have also linked insecurity to drug abuse and internal sabotage within security agencies. Are you getting as much support with federal agencies to root out this fifth columnist? Would you say that trust is being built amongst law enforcement agencies you have to work with on the plateau?
Yeah, thank you. The security agencies are not angels. They are human beings like us. And so you're going to find that they too are facing challenges that every human being faces. Sometimes I truly pity them because they've stayed on the battlefront for too long. And so many of them, you find that they are also getting exasperated. And sometimes when they cannot manage those situations, they transfer the aggression to the communities around. But such elements, we try to fish them out and to let their commanders know that this is a challenge we are facing with one of your men. So, but on the whole, we must thank the security agencies for putting their lives at our disposal. You know, it is true that, yes, they are being paid, but I don't think what they are doing is commensurate with the pay they are getting. And so we must remain grateful to them. We are doing our own little, we have our own little challenges, but we are also continuously and constantly looking for ways and means to motivate those men in the security agencies so that they can give out their best. So for now, all I can say is that, yes, we have had and enjoyed the support of Mr. President, but more importantly, I can tell you that he has given clear directives to the heads of security agencies to work with us. That's why we have been privileged to have extra deployments, for example. We have more boots on ground. We have more equipment to deal with the insurgency. What we are hoping will build up more in the couple of days to come is our intelligence gathering mechanism that helps us to nip issues in the bud before they escalate.
So we're getting a lot of reaction online as this conversation is going on. Residents in Plateau are asking quite a number of questions. If you don't mind, we'd like to keep you a little longer because I understand that despite the security crisis, you have also been credited with some significant infrastructure and social sector reform. If you don't mind, we'll go on a short break and we'll be right back to talk more. Stay with us, everyone.